Have fights online.
Have fights
Yeah,
online.
yeah. Bringing that clout, it always works. You'll
You
see
know,
your numbers
like-
go up.
So
I'm joking, not really. Okay.
no, that's
Don't try this at home.
not
No,
joking,
actually
but
try
no.
it.
So what it is, yeah, with like I feel with what you've done, like whatever's happened, and not to divulge into the past, and I'm not bothered about that.
Yeah.
But it's more like you are more yourself than I see people are themselves.
Yeah.
That's only because I personally know you.
Yeah.
So in the sense of, let's say, for example, you've said something how you feel.
Yeah.
You've said it with no filters.
Yeah, it's been
I
said.
remember at one point when something was going on, some random person, I just met you at this time, yeah? So
Yeah.
maybe a couple of years back now?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit longer now, COVID, like 3-4 years back now.
Yeah.
You had a situation, like videos were going viral of you.
You can mention names, it's okay.
Even
I'm not
online.
scared.
Not even online, yeah? But like, someone on WhatsApp sent me a video of you,
Okay.
like basically swearing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really understand like why that's such a bad thing.
Yeah.
I understand a little bit more now coming into working in media and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like once you do something that's the world doesn't see as normal for a hijabi, a Muslim, an Asian girl, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's like straight away she's tainted, like
Yeah.
bad vibes immediately.
Yeah.
And then I think to myself, because it's not just you, like even some other friends who are like females and Muslims, whatever they are,
Yeah.
they've had the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I've seen there's like that trend that is like, cool, she's done this.
Yeah.
Now she's constantly going to be labelled as that person.
Yeah.
Forget about the hundreds of people that she's supported.
Yeah.
So without naming names, I don't know if this person will be, the listeners will probably know who I'm talking about anyway. But somebody's helped me like hugely in my career, yeah? Up to a point now where I'm working, and it's like the stories I hear about her, I'm just like, you don't understand what she's done for me. You don't understand what she's done for all the other people behind us.
Yeah.
In front of us, what's going to happen as well. Like,
Yeah.
but you lot all have this perception of her already that's just like
Yeah.
absurd, more or less. So it's like, why is it that the fact that people feel they, like people like yourselves, for example, are the representatives for hijabis? Like, so it's like you can't swear.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what are we? Are you lot like
Yeah.
you can't do nothing? You're allowed to do anything.
Yeah, it's almost like an invisible pressure, and this is coming from what I'm about to say. It's coming from like life's experience from that very moment that you're talking about swearing online. I think some people started following me from that very moment, so they didn't know about my past. They didn't know about, or they didn't stop to ever think about, well, hang on a second. She's actually a grown woman. She's probably got kids, because I'm very open about that. What's brought this woman, or what storm has she had to walk through to make her like this? Why is she swearing online? There must be something or a reason behind it, but nobody stopped to think about that, unless, apart from obviously those that have followed me from day one. So that taint has remained with me for a very long time, because these videos, they don't just disappear. They're always there circulating. But along the line and along the journey, because of being so vocal, it's landed me in some amazing opportunities with work. A lot of people saw potential in me and have given me that line of work. And you learn to professionally compose yourself, I would like to say, rather than the swearing. Like,
so tell me how you did that.
it's in the name, modest street. So there's a bit of modest, there's a bit of street. More so the street, but we try to like contain it down now.
Yeah. So let's just talking about that. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 11 years old modest. Or 11 years old street.
Yeah, 11
what was
years
the deal
old.
with 11 years old street? Take us back.
She was actually, she was a larger than life character. She loved dancing. She loved Bollywood. She grew up in obviously an Indian household. Remember, she was Hindu then. I'm a revert to Islam. So growing up Indian, you celebrate everything, whether it's birthdays, whether it's a religious festival. You grow up celebrating everything with music and dance, and that had become her sort of way of expression, I think. She was always naughty as well, always getting told off in class, and that was her. And there was so much to her character growing up.
So what about the area you was in? Like, what was that like? What's the upbringing of Modest Street back then?
Upbringing of Modest Street was so simple. Life back then, I feel, was so simple. I feel like all adults say this. Life was so simple nowadays, but it genuinely was. There was no pressure as an 11-year-old of having to look a particular way, having to wear a particular outfit or fit in with the social norm as we see today. And I just feel like it was a much more easier era. We flew past the years without having to have that like sort of pressure on us. So yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely would say like there's a lot more pressure for 11-year-old in 2021 as opposed to 11-year-old.
100%. I think at 12 or 13, my parents divorced. And even then we were able to deal with like, that's a big thing for a teenager to deal with, like, you know, parents divorcing. And even then, the magnitude of that, I feel like we just dealt with it because life was just so easy. There was no one judging you. And it was just so simple. Like even traveling to school and back, late nights, dark nights, summer days, there was no fear of be careful on the streets.
Stranger danger type of thing that we've got today.
Yeah. Compared to like the era that we're in now, it's a very scary era.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course. Same with like you was just saying, like with divorce.
Yeah.
It's a really sore subject for me personally, not because I've ever been married or divorced yet. But it's more like in the sense of a lot of people around me I've seen married, divorced, split up, separated, whatever it is. Until you've really experienced it in some capacity, you don't really understand it. Yeah. So what was it like for, let's say, a Hindu Gujarati, you're Gujarati, aren't you? So Hindu Gujarati back then, having parents divorced, like what was the community like towards you? Like, was there any animosity? Did you feel any?
No. I would say, obviously with my experiences, without saying that this culture is better than that culture, in the Indian culture, it's not the norm, but they don't judge you for it.
Yeah.
Compared to, and obviously, okay, so my parents, Hindu, they divorced growing up. And then I become a Muslim, I get married, then so much stuff happens in my life, then I divorce. And seeing how women are treated in the Muslim community is such a letdown. Being a revert to Islam, being somebody who loves the Muslim community, to see the way that I was tainted compared to the way that my mom was tainted. She wasn't even tainted, you know? Obviously, mom used to go to the mandir. She went into the mandir. Nobody looked down at her like she's something different. Yeah. But I was treated so much more differently. New faces that sort of connected with me, people around them in their circle would say, oh, you want to be careful, you know, she's a divorcee. And I just felt, you know, and it hurts. I'm human. People just think that, oh, modesty, she's got this thick skin online, but nobody sees that we break. It's probably God that sees, myself, and the pillow that's felt my tears, you know. And sometimes it feels like it's not fair. But then I think we shoot ourselves with our own hand in the foot because we put ourselves out there on the public platform. When you do that, you kind of invisibly sign to, you know, taking on negative comments and positive comments. So
kind of like you're asking
comes
for
with the territory.
Exactly that. Because it's funny you say that, and it's like I'm a bit surprised you said that because obviously that's just from an ignorance perspective of mine as well. Because if something that I've seen is that if you're divorced, especially as an Asian, you can't get remarried. It's just like sometimes impossible, and it's sad to say because it's like the females is straight, it's their fault. Yeah, I don't ever feel like it's the other side has ever been seen, and it's not about the divorce thing that I'm really like have queries and questions about. It's more when I'm looking at women in general and the way they speak online. Yeah, there's certain things that I've picked up on because, like, obviously, like I said to you, what's the secret? What's the secret getting to that to that 10K to get that blue tick, whatever it is, right? And I've always thought about how can I get now to the next level? What can I do? Because with what I do, it's like you need to be someone. I'm not someone yet, but obviously trying.
Of course you are. Trying. Hashtag moving famous. God, I haven't even got that blue tick yet. Pray for me.
It's coming. Don't worry.
With the divorce, I think the narrative is changing. It is. In my mom's time, she wasn't allowed to get married again. That was just out of the question. You're divorced, and that's it. However, I think in our era, the narrative has changed. Divorcees are allowed to look for females. There's nothing wrong in it. And that's a conversation now. But I think I'm changing the narrative because what I've noticed again through experience of divorce is that you're the single mom with the children. So you're highly unlikely to get married because nobody wants to take on what they see children as baggage, you know. For us, they're obviously gifts from God. But I also feel like women need to man up a bit because sometimes from no fault of their own, the divorce happens. And I feel like they should say to the man, okay, fine, you want to leave me? Yeah, take your kids with you and go. So let me see how another woman will take on another man that has those same amount of children, you know? But I think the God-given emotion and love that we're given by God for our children. Mothers can't part from their children. But I think the narrative is changing.
It is slowly changing, I think. Even when I'm thinking, like, not just because of like divorces and marriage and whatnot, but like when I'm thinking about women talking about women things.
Yeah.
I'm super ignorant to this day about women and certain things about women. I'm not divulging too much into what it is, but it's like there's simple things, like we can be frank about it and say, I don't know nothing about women in period situations at all. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because you spoke about it once, right? Yeah. And someone I know, not naming no names, I hope he watches this. He probably will watch this, yeah. Okay. And he was like, oh, she's weird. She's talking about periods and stuff online. Yeah. But it was that really made me think, like, interesting. Why did you think that was weird?
Weird, yeah.
Because are you too like embarrassed to... Yeah. That's fine. If you feel shy to talk about it, that's fine.
But the person who said that to you, is he married?
Nope.
There you go. So he has no idea, no education about it. But if he was married, he'd be like, oh, okay, I get it, you know?
Yeah, I feel that's a similar thing. Like, those conversations are not being had enough, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but also in the Asian culture, do we really talk about periods? Come on, it's
but
not.
Why not?
It's I get what you mean.
I'm not saying about that in particular. Like, I'm not saying let's talk about periods for 2 podcast sessions. What I'm saying is, like, there's certain things that us as men should know, because it may get to that day one day where you have a daughter or you have a sister and you need to have those conversations. And we're not having enough of those conversations, and there's a lot happening because of that. Females are not like one with their brothers or dads or wherever it is, because they don't have that connection anymore. Especially, and that's just speaking from experience in Asian households and families. And we need to speak a little bit more about women and Asian women in this world, and as well as in the media world, so they can stop going crazy at you online, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I think it's more so growing up Asian, it's always been the respect factor. You don't talk about those things. You don't talk about sex. You don't talk about periods. But I think, again, with the help of social media, anybody can sit down, make a video, click a link and send it to a single dad, you know, who's got a teenage daughter or something like that. So I think it's become a little bit more easier to educate. Even doctors and nurses, they've taken a step forward to make certain videos like that. And then obviously influencers who are just... they don't think twice about what they're saying. Exactly. This is right. Make sure you leave those women alone who are on their periods.
Exactly.
Always ultra hashtag.
Why is that the plug for them now? Yeah. Have you got sponsorship from them?
Sponsor me.
100% got sponsorship. Make sure you get that, Sachin. Yeah. Like we want their quick burstment for that.
They work well.
See, look, joking. Just spurring me to thinking something. How are your like friends and family with what you do as an influencer and kind of putting yourself out there as a hijabi, as a Muslim?
They are so supportive. I don't think I'd be able to do this or carry on doing it with that much courage if I didn't have that much support behind the scenes. That's all I can say. Like, they're just so supportive. They're the first to clap when I get any contract. I'll share it with them first, and they're the happiest for me. And that means so much. But again, just tapping back into divorce, saying that, I get messages from followers, right? Saying like, oh, sis, I had a dream that you got married and I was so happy for you. And I'm like, girl, that was a nightmare you saw. That was not a dream. You know, like I'm living my best life right now. I'm learning so much about me. And I think if I was in an era of where my mum was, I wouldn't have learnt so much about me, my likes, my dislikes, how I like to live. So I think for me personally, I think it's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, because it's good. That's really good. Because for me, like, I see, mainly speaking from like the music perspective, it's like friends and family, not mine in particular. Mine are fine, but it's like some of the friends around me, their families and friends, they've kind of not really understood it or taken the opportunity to actually understand it, in the sense of, you know what, he does music, that's haram. Yeah. Let them do that. Let's not even look at that little bit of it.
Yeah.
Did you feel that the same with like when you was doing like stuff with like music, or if you was dancing in videos?
And don't forget, I love using music from the artists of our community.
Yeah.
I love incorporating them and inserting them into my videos and stuff. So the elders of a traditional mindset, they look down on me and say, oh, look, she dances around with men. And I'm just like, I just turn a blind eye to it. See no evil, hear no evil. I know what I'm doing. I know what my intentions are. And I know how much I enjoy being on this platform and creating different content that, you know, that entertains, and that's what I do, and I enjoy it, and I'm not going to let somebody else's mindset change the way that I create content.
Yeah, because sometimes when I think like, what would, especially like around Bangladeshi people, what would the industry be like without you lot? People like yourselves, people like Ixie, Smash, like where would we be as businesses, as musicians? And because that is, I feel it is a piece of the puzzle. It might not be the biggest thing to make it happen.
Yeah.
Definitely a piece in the puzzle. When something's missing, it's a bit harder to cross that bridge.
Yeah.
So like, I do think to myself, like, people don't understand how important you lot are.
I think that's for
respect.
businesses to speak out, really.
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
wish they would, you know. I wish that same level of energy would be reciprocated back, so that we can feel also that we have the same support from them. For someone to just stand up and say, listen, don't say this about her, because you have no idea of what he's done, she's done for us, and we're right here, we've got her back. She isn't the way that people have painted her.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, of course. Because I get like, some people like to me are like, she's bare loud, she's bare like this, but I feel like you're the total opposite. But that's because I know you. I don't know. I don't know Modest Street really and truly.
Yeah.
So it's like, because obviously that's like, you came to me after, like, I didn't know you as Modest Street.
Yeah.
Tracking back ages ago, I met you in a studio, and that's when we met, and it was more of a friendly level. So it's like, for me to now see this stuff, I'm like, we got best.
When we met at Promo Image, right? The first time.
Yeah. That was the first time.
Wallahi, when I tell you, I was in my deepest form of depression.
Yeah, you was in. I remember speaking to Sachin.
Deep thoughts, you know, and that's going back to that kickoff many years back that you began the conversation with. You know, I've been very open about this, that I had my children taken away from me without any fault of my own, but nobody stopped to think or question why, how, when. A mother of 5, how, you know. It was something that I was dealing with, and that fight actually happened because I was signed up to a contract where there was supposed to be me and other faces, and they had me kicked off the campaign, and I was relying on that money for court to fight for my children. Ultimately, I lost the campaign because they had more power over, or say so, over the campaign. I lost the campaign, I lost the money, and I lost the battle in court. But then God had other plans, and it's all worked out better in the end. But like I said, like, never judge a book by its cover. You just don't know what demons someone is fighting.
Exactly.
But I remember lots of BTS was sent to me, and I could just, and I look back at that woman always, you know. Was that my first time filming with you, Sachin, as well? Oh God, you know, like, to try and keep that smile. Even now, just talking about it, it's so emotional. Just to try and keep that smile, keep that modesty character alive. But then when the cameras were off, I was just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
We barely like spoke that day.
Yeah.
And I remember Sachin was like, she's not with it today.
Yeah.
He was like, she's just not with it. And you had a personal conversation with her after, didn't you? I remember you saying, and I like, obviously he had conversations with you beforehand, and I just came as a third wheel at that time. But it was like, it's just so crazy to think that everybody online was ready to fire the shots and make assumptions.
But they still are, you know, up until today, they still are. But then
you
have your loyal following that have supported you from day one. You could do anything wrong and they will support you. And they'll always politely message me and say, you know, sis, we didn't like this about you, we didn't like this, maybe you could change that. And I always take that on board. I appreciate and I admire notes of positive criticism where they'll politely message me or email me, you know, up until today. But there are people that just won't like you, but they'll still watch you. So thank you. You're still making me money.
That's it. But like, so what's the maddest thing that's been said online? It doesn't have to be like personal. What's the craziest thing that someone said to you online? Do you know why? Because I always want to know that.
I got this. They say she's ratchet, which technically I can be. Sometimes, you know what? They call me the Asian Cardi B. I know. How would you? Can't relate. I don't know. No, I relate. I see the relating. Also, some people say that I've rinsed the line of single mom.
Okay.
You know, because I'm always talking about single mom. But I'm so proud of being a single mom. That's why I talk about it so much. Because for haters to say that, oh, she's rinsed the line, I like to use my position and where I am in life to empower other single parents, not just single moms, single dads. I like to empower them, to let them know that you too can do something in life, regardless of how many children. And 5, in my opinion, is a very big number. My house is crazy and chaos, you know. And I like to inspire people that are watching, because some people just feel like, and I've been there, some people feel like they're in a dark hole and they feel like they've come to the end of life because what am I going to do? Single. Why should you have to do this because you're single? Girl, get up, go get that pee, go get that bread.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of people out there, it's like, I wouldn't want to say normal, but it's happened so much now that you can go past that now. It's possible. We've seen it being done so many times.
Yeah. And you know, some people say, oh, well, you know, it's so hard raising children, even as like wife and husband. Great. That's good for you. And I pray that you never become single, because if you did become single, then you'll know how the hustle is and how the grind is. Thank you very much.
What's the...
Say no more.
So what, tell me, what's the hardest thing, like, as a parent? Like, I don't have any children, but
yeah.
What's this parent situation like? What is it like a single parent situation?
Alhamdulillah, I have the most amazing children. They listen. They know we've been through a lot in life together. So we listen to each other. We do lots for each other. But as your children grow up in this era, oh my God, the being self-conscious, worried about your image, worried about this whole trend of youth on TikTok right now, in my opinion, is very toxic.
Yeah, because it's always been there, but I feel like it's more there now because of platforms. Like, as a youngster, I remember even with me, like, in school, we didn't have money when we were kids. No, nothing.
Let's face it,
I know, we had no money.
Yeah.
Fast track now, we're very lucky to have some money. Yeah. So it's like, we can get and when I say some money, we can have the trainers we want, we can have the clothes we want. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm buying Dior every day. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that I can buy what I want to buy now.
My daughter went through a lot in terms of anxiety, depression. She's ended up in hospital, and we had to have a sit down, and I had to say to her, you need a social media cleanse. And I always say this now, ever since I experienced that with my daughter, and by the way, she's 16 years old. Since I've experienced that, I'm always telling the youth of today, if it's getting too toxic for you, get off social media, get off TikTok if need be. If you're a business, stay online. If you're not a business, get off. It's not for you right now. Unless you learn, or when you learn to build thick skin and come back on and be able to have the courage to watch things that you're seeing, then come back on and watch it with thick skin. But if it's affecting you, your mental health comes first, and look after yourself. You are number one priority, not your TikTok. And I feel like the genre on TikTok and some of the content that's created is absolutely sickening, and it's ruining the youth of today. And you know, it makes me think, like, TikTok censors a lot of things that we put up, right? That's, you know, hashtag Palestine and stuff. But why are they not censoring things which are damaging for the youth of today? You know, I'd like to have another conversation at some day, or open another conversation. But what I'm talking about is really, really severe. And
because it's not just kids as well. It's also like
adults.
I was saying to you just before camera rolling and stuff. Like little comments, and it sits with you. Like, for example, I remember I had a comment not too long ago, well, a few years ago actually. I was DJing once, and the bride and groom didn't have their playlist ready, they didn't have their songs ready, and we was underground in the venue. So if you don't have your songs, give me your songs a week in advance, for example, I can't download it on the day and then put it on if I don't have signal. Yeah. I'm underground, I've got no signal. Yeah. Someone decided, so basically they had a party and whatnot, and then a blogger was there, and she kind of posted everything from there. I didn't even ask her. I didn't even know she was a blogger, because me being me, I don't know what you lot do, So she posted it, and then I just see comments online like, oh yeah, he was terrible, he done this, he done that, he didn't have the songs ready, what DJ doesn't bring aux cable? Well, that's my job, I don't need to bring aux cable, I'm meant to play the music for you. But it's that level of ignorance, like, that they didn't take into account what happened before. And that was like on my mind for months, because I was thinking, this is not only affecting my livelihood, it's affecting how much money goes into my pocket, and also potential money that's going to go into my pocket as well. So it's like, morally, I was thinking, what's going on here? Like, and how do I stop this? And you can't stop every single situation. Same with, I'm presuming with what you've been through and whatnot. You can't stop people saying anything online, and it's affecting everybody, whatever age.
I'm very mindful about what I post on TikTok now. No, I don't even need it, you know. It's not a place where it's my working space. It's not my working space. It was just a bit of entertainment. I think I joined it more so to look after my daughters online. But now that they've kind of come off or taken a break, I'm just like, I don't even need to be here.
What's your working space in Instagram?
My working space is Instagram and Snapchat. Snapchat is more family. Instagram is also family, but it's also a place where professional brands will work with me. So I have to be very mindful about how I'm composed
So,
online.
are you more composed now than previously then?
Yeah, right now.
No more swearing online.
This is like, come on, man. I'm at your house. We're
Exactly.
just chilling. We're talking.
So like, do you say that kind of whatever mentally you was going through, because evidently there was situations with yourself.
Yeah.
How much did that cloud your work, like with brands or with whatever you was doing? Like,
you know what? There were days that I would wake up and I would wish for the ground beneath me to open and swallow me up. I didn't want to be here. If I could have it my way, I would have just thrown myself in front of a car and just gone. I literally just didn't want to be there at that moment. And those are the moments that I haven't shared with anyone. I wanted to hide away. I used to go and sit in my mom's house and just put the blanket on top of me. And she was so helpless. And I just remember I just didn't want to even be a burden on anyone. And it was just such a hard moment. But mental health is real. Unless you've been through it, you won't understand.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people don't really understand you as an individual, like what you've been through, what you're probably still going through to this day.
Yeah, it's true. And I try not to think about the past because we've evolved so much as people, as humans. And I personally like to take all of my negatives and turn it into a positive. Otherwise, you never truly get over that dark moment. And we're here to better ourselves as well with, not just religion, but just generally in life. And the only way to better yourself is to take everything that you can from your negatives and turn it into a positive. That's the only way that I think you can, be a better person in life.
Because I feel like what you've been through, a lot of people in general have like been through that as well in the same situation.
Yeah, completely.
And it's not spoken about
it's
at all.
not,
So how are people going to know unless someone like yourself or whoever goes online and speaking about it?
I wish more people would.
And I think they will. I think they will. I think because of that.
I wish they talk about it and then turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
What I don't want to see online, which I'm seeing a lot online, is talking about that sad story. I went through this and I want to hear a story. I want to hear a story that you went through this and you became this, and there are so many men out there that have turned their lives around. My own brother, for one, he is I would like to say a recovering roadman. He came to me, a year ago. He's bettered his ways. And I think he will be a great spokesperson for people of the road, of that community. And he's now I would like to say an amazing professional videographer. He's my personal photographer. He is my editor for all of my vlogs online. So all the vlogs that you see are edited by him. And he's flipped his life around. But he was in a very bad mental state. I wasn't the only one at that time. So was he. And there are so many other people. And we need to hear those stories so people that are going through something bad knows or will feel that there's hope at the end of the tunnel rather than feeling like, oh yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. No, we want to hear that positive story at the end. What happened at the end?
Because that's I feel that's the same with TV programs. If you're watching EastEnders, literally everyone's always upset. There's some mad stuff always happening. Same with Bengali Natok series, Star Plus programs, all of that stuff. It's always negative, depression. Someone's cheating on someone. Something's mad's happening, regardless, whatever it is. Something mad's happening. So what would you what kept you going?
I don't watch TV. I only go out and watch movies with my friends. I was a believer at heart. I just couldn't bring myself to pray. And I think it's so important to talk about that because people always say that, oh, why don't you pray and your problems will get solved. Sometimes when you're in a very, very dark mental state, you can't bring yourself to pray. You can't even make yourself do ablution, wudu. But then there comes a phase in life where you do start connecting back with the deen. And I would say now I think I'm at my strongest. But at that time, I think what kept me busy was generally the work.
So you would have said all of this place that you was in, even though that it was a dark place at the time, keeping going and keeping active was still your source of getting away from all of it and making it happen.
And just dancing in my own space as well, releasing that energy, I couldn't afford to go to gym at that time. And I was literally just dancing away.
Because I don't know this, but during the time of let's say your lowest, where you were saying, what you just said, you were still releasing content during that time. You were still working regularly.
Yeah, and if you go back to that era, because I never delete my videos, my content, so you guys can go and see. You guys can see so many spots on my face, so many little breakouts. And that was from the stress. I wasn't eating well, I wasn't sleeping well. And then something happened, and I don't know at what point in life it happened. Oh, yes, I do. When I came across Hadith-e-Qudsi, I don't know whether you've heard me speak about Hadith-e-Qudsi. It's on my highlight tabs, okay? Make sure you watch it tonight.
Don't worry.
Okay. So I came across the Hadith-e-Qudsi. Am I allowed to explain it?
Yeah, go for it.
It's in Urdu, right?
Yeah.
So my friend taught Hadith-e-Qudsi to me, and from that day I let go. And that's what changed me. And look, even when I'm talking about it, it's such a passion. Hadith-e-Qudsi, right, in Urdu, Allah says, एक तेरी चाहत है, एक मेरी चाहत है, होगा वो ही जो मेरी चाहत है. अगर तूने सुपर्द कर दिया अपने आप को उसमें जो मेरी चाहत है, तो मैं तुझे वो भी दूंगा जो तेरी चाहत है. अगर तूने मुखालफत की उसमें जो मेरी चाहत है, तो मैं तुझे थका दूंगा उसमें जो तेरी चाहत है. फिर होगा वो ही जो मेरी चाहत है. So Allah says that there's something that you want in your timing, but there's something that I've already timed for you. But if you trust the process and wait for what I've written for you, I will also give you what your heart desires. If you try and fight what I have written for you, you will get so tired chasing it in the dunya that you still won't find it. And in the end, only that will happen which I have written for you. So ultimately, only that will happen what God has written for us.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I was like, wow, this is the story. And there was another story attached to it about my friend's mom passing away and how they found that hadith. So anyway, after I heard that hadith, I literally left everything in the hands of Allah. There was no more fighting online with the ex-husband. There was no more swearing. I was like, bonnet, I'm done, you know? And I was like, I've left it now in the hands of Allah. And I started praying again. Literally that's all it took. Started praying again, started living my life. Now, living my life means I went to buy a cup of tea for the first time. I went and started eating good food for the first time. I went and started smiling with my friends properly, going and dining out, switching my phones off. And that's when life sorted itself out. And everything came back to me. I lost the court battle because what had been planned against me had been planned for so many months ahead that I had no chance of winning. I lost the court battle, lost everything. And it all came back to me so rapidly in terms of, and I'm talking work, finance, kids, family, everything just sorted itself out. And that's why I've become this, I would like to say, some kind of voice or pillar that I can bounce that energy back and say, things do get better. Better times do come. I have probably been in every situation that someone out there hurting has been through, that wants to kill herself, doesn't want to be here anymore, feels like nothing's ever going to get better again, feels like, I want to get married again, but who's going to marry me again? You will come to a point where marriage is not the only thing for you. Be open, be broad-minded, be like, okay, if it comes along, it comes along. I'm not really desperate or here for it. But you'll be so strong mentally that you will feel like, as a single mom or dad or a single man or woman, you'll feel like, you know what? I ain't waiting for anyone to come and take me under his wing. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to build up a line of 10, and then I'm going to take my pick at the end. That's the person you're going to become at the end, I hope, inshallah.
But it's mad you said that, because I was thinking, so I asked you, obviously, what kept you going at the time? So what was you chasing then at that time? What is it that you was looking for that was straying you away from the person that you wanted to be, essentially, that you didn't know existed?
At that time?
At that time.
I was looking for my children. For any mother, her children are her strength, her power, and her reason for breathing, living, working. And I was genuinely just looking for that. Even till today, my one true love are my children. Any mother, any parent will say it straight. It's her children. I work tirelessly for my children so that I can give them a life that we never had, like going back to having money after school to buy sweets or something. Today, I make sure that my children have money so they don't feel embarrassed around their friends.
Yeah.
So they have something to, even if they're hungry, go and get some chicken and chips after school or something like that. I never had that. That's a luxury.
Yeah, of course.
And for everything that I've been through, I tell my children, wardrobes, having lived in a women's refuge, wardrobes for me are a luxury. My clothes were in black bin bags. And I teach them that so that they remember that those are the luxuries that they're looking for. Spending time with one another, that's a luxury. Luxury doesn't come from designer labels because it will keep you happy in the moment.
Yeah.
But the luxury is having a family to go back to. The luxury is having a hug to come home to. And I come home to that. You know, I could work long hours in the studio and I'll come home and I see 5 children who go, mommy, 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 all at the same time. And I'm like, wow, you know, I do it for you, lot.
Yeah, exactly.
So be quiet, tidy your room.
So the little message to them. There's a big hunger online anyway for knowing about your personal life.
Yeah.
That goes without saying, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It's like
Yeah.
everyone wants to get down to nitty gritty and they feel like they understand you. Whereas I've told you before, I don't think people know you at all.
Yeah.
I don't know you personally too tough like that for years and years.
Yeah.
But for that little snippet that I do know you of, like, it's fully not what people think of you in general. And it's like, and I'm going to ask these questions as more of on a personal basis as well, not just for the viewers, but after everything that happened and you now getting your life back on track, like, what was it that got you back there to say, cool, look, you know what, got my kids back now, they're living with me, I'm feeding them after school. Who and what made that happen to get you, and what happened after that?
When I went through my hardships and the children weren't around me, it was either depression or it was either do something with yourself. So I did something with myself. I actually rented a little room, and I was in Birmingham then. And that's where the idea started for creative space. I got a little space where I could set my cameras up, lighting, so I never had to worry about anything. And a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually living in a women's refuge. So for the modest street that you guys saw online, ranting and whatnot, for that 1.5 years, I was actually living in a refuge. So you all can shut up now. So you know what the truth was.
I've really been through
you know, people thought I was living some luxury life, but that's where I was, crying every night. But anyway, going back to being productive, just rented out a little space. So anything that I was earning at that time was literally being reinvested back into lighting, cameras, so that, and I had something to focus on. When I couldn't sleep, I used to get into my car, drive to the studio. I had a little sofa there, and I used to film until I was so drained, switch everything off and fall asleep on the studio. We're not allowed to sleep by contractual law of the buildings and stuff. We're not allowed to sleep in our buildings. But because the landlord was so good with me and he knew what I was going through, he just used to let me sleep there. And again, I used to wake up, go to my mom's, literally have some breakfast, wash my face, come back to the studio. And it was literally, I had something to keep me busy. And I made all these videos just so I had something to do constantly. And then that mindset just started changing. So then I went into a bigger studio space. Then I moved to London. And then I thought, now I want to do something in terms of giving other people a chance. And it will only happen if I have a big studio. So then we found this place by luck, and it works for me, you know.
So you say this is a creative hub, like kind of thing?
Definitely, yeah. And it's always open to people of the community, especially if I built a relationship with them. I'd love for them to like come in and just use the space. It's always there. It's not, I'm not always here. So it's nice to see other people using it as well. You know, I was, like I said, I was in a very bad state of depression, mental state, whatever you want to label it, you know, anxiety. Even from the hate comments, you know, and now I understand why celebrities don't look at tabloid papers or read comments, because it affects your anxiety, it affects your mental state. I don't even do that anymore. I literally post and I just keep an eye, or I have someone to keep an eye on my comment section, and I don't even look at what others are posting about me. Like, let them post. I don't want to see it, I don't want to hear it, that's it. If there's any positives, I want to hear that. But in terms of like how I got to where I am, firstly, obviously Hadith Qudsi came into my life. And then after that, a lot of people know online that there is a Bengali family out there that took me in, but not under their wing. They just treated me like their daughter, and they treated me like their sister. And they gave me that love and that support that I needed. And I think that is, you know how you just mentioned earlier, what were you looking for? I think that's what it is, some kind of love from somewhere. There was just so much hate online, and I was so alone. My mom couldn't fully understand because she's Hindu. I was looking for a Muslim connect. I'm a Reva. I pray. I wasn't finding that solace in my mum's house because obviously, you know, she prays a different way. Where was I to find that peace? And then for so many people that know, Nix from the Flower Wall House, he came into my life. He literally messaged me one day, and I opened the message because he was like, hey, you know, we'd love to give you a flower wall. And I thought, you know what, I'm starting a new life, a new studio. Maybe you could do with a new flower wall setup. That would be great for you. So I opened the message, and he wasn't expecting me to open the message. I opened the message, and then we just got talking. We got talking, and then I went into depression again. And I didn't answer his messages for a long time. He sent me all these pictures of all these flower walls. He was like, look, you know, what picture would you like? What picture, which flower wall would you like? And I just didn't get back to him. And then it got to a point from DMs, he'd found my number and he called me and he was like, listen, we haven't heard from you. We're ready to give you a wall. Which wall would you like? And I broke down.
Oh.
I'd just lost the court battle.
Okay.
And I said to him, listen, I'm not in a position to talk. I just need some space. I need some time. Let me get back to you in my own time. And because I was crying, he was like, sis, where are you? You don't sound good. And I was like, I'm in Birmingham. And I was looking around like I'm in Birmingham. I'm in my mom's house. And he goes, give me your address. I just gave him my address and he came to see me. I think he was in Oldham. And he drove to my mom's house to see me. And believe me when I tell you, you guys would not have recognized me. I had oil in my hair. I had this ugly black maxi on. And I was just sat there like, I was just sat there like some broken Asian woman. That's how I would explain it. And he came and he said, you're not alone from today. Like, we had our conversation, told him about everything that happened. And he goes, from today, you're my sister. And he goes, we're going to call you Afa from now on. And he goes, you're going to meet my mom and my mom's going to strengthen you. And he said, don't worry, Afa. You're not alone anymore. And he put his hand on my head. And then he went. And I thought, oh, just another guy, another fangirl who came to see Modest Street. Great, amazing. But he stuck to his word. He came to see me a number of times. And then he said, one weekend, he goes, pack your stuff. He goes, you're going to come and see my mom. And I thought it would be nice because I used to have a great relationship with my Bengali elders until like things just got really messy. So I thought it would have been nice to see her. And I thought, okay, I'll go and I'll meet them. And I remember when he took me there that night, obviously living in the Bengali culture for 10 plus years, I hadn't eaten Bengali food for so long. And she had prepared so much food for me from, dal, mas, meat. And I just remember eating it like a fagulullah and rice. It was like that, like zibuna khais, like that. I just felt like I'd eaten mom's food after so long. And then I just spoke to her and, she taught me a tasbih, which I always share with my followers, which is Ya Salamu. Ya Salamu means peace and shanti. Shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. And she said, keep reciting that constantly. Every time you feel depression, every time you feel anxiety, keep on reciting that. And you watch, God will bring you so much peace. And from that day, that weekend, I stayed with her for 2 days. I had a wonderful time, went back to my world, back to Birmingham. And then from that day, she wouldn't stop calling me. Every day she goes to work at 7 a.m. She's such a fragile old lady and she's a carer. And I'm so proud of the job that she does. And she inspires me so much to work until her age. Every day she leaves the house for 7 a.m. and the first person she rings is me. She sees me as her daughter so much. Any decisions that they make in life, they always run it past me first. They didn't just give me that status. They've proved that status to me, that they've treated me like their elder. They had to deal with so much backlash in London from other people who said, oh, you want to be mindful of her. She's hanging around with your son. And I had to deal with those conversations as well. Single woman, be mindful. She hasn't got a great name. And I was like, what is it that you've seen about me that would make you think that I am that kind of woman who's attached to men? So yeah, and then ever since then we just became this very, very strong unit up until today. There's been a lot of health scares with her. I call her Khala online, so you guys will know her as Khala online, but offline she's actually mom. I call her Amma, and she's been a pillar of strength for me up until today. And if anything happens, we always cook food and we always share it every day, even though we live quite far now. We make that effort to send food to each other because she likes my food, I like her food, and it's that connect. It went from meeting Nix, my brother, to meeting mom. I built a relationship with the sisters, and I think it's really important. This is why I'm so strong on family. Family are so important, And I remember Nix, every time he used to see me in depression, he used to take me in his car and he used to put up all the music. I don't know whether recently you guys saw us do a carpool karaoke on Insta stories.
Yeah. So
all of those songs were actually our songs, because when I used to be in a state of depression, I used to look out the window and he used to just take me for a long drive. He's like, come on, Afa, watch, you're going to get your kids back, you watch. I used to feel like I had a little brother giving me encouragement that you're going to get your kids back again, And I used to look out the window, and he used to play all the songs, all of my favorite tunes, you know, and his favorite tunes, because we're from the same era. And I wouldn't sing, I wouldn't vibe with him, and he used to be like, come on, Afai goes, come on, this line, you know this line. And I just used to look out the window constantly. And to be in a position now that I can sing along to the verses with him, to the same tracks that he used to play, is so powerful. And I think it's a visual witness for me to know that I've come such a long way, from the woman that used to look out the window and not even pay attention to the songs, to the woman who can mess around with her little brother now and sing along to the songs. Is such a huge improvement in life, you know.
How important would you have said then that part of your life, like experiencing that bit, how important is that for you as Modern Street today?
It's so important.
As horrible and as emotional as it is for you, do you feel like you had to get to that point to become who you are today? Without that, you wouldn't be.
Of course. You know how they say a phoenix rise from the ashes? In the same respect, I think I had to die 1,000 times inside to rebuild myself again and find out who I was. Because up until then, I just lived a life that was molded and dictated by other people. So, and I got to learn a lot about life, you know, and away from my children as well. So, yeah.
This got deep. Let's cut this. Let's cut it down.
So you've heard of Modern Street, but you haven't heard her story, and you heard it here first.
Big shout out to Nix and his mum as well.
Yeah,
let's cut that. That got too emotional for me.